Hello, everybody. This is CNN, and you're watching Disney Channel. Anyway, good
Not
morning.
again.
Good morning.
And my name's Scarfee, apparently. And today we are, again, not this show, but something completely different. What are you doing? Alex?
I gotta clean my lens. What are you doing? All right, mine was significantly quieter, but I like how we have the same bottle.
Yeah.
Good old Dust Off Electronics Duster. Whatever would we do without you, Dust Off? Sponsor of the podcast today, actually.
It's actually Falcon.
Falcon.
I think Dust Off is the name of the product.
Oh, it is Falcon. Speaking of Falcon, you haven't watched it yet, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier is excellent, and I just finished it. Literally, I watched the end of it as I was like about to start this podcast, and it was wonderful and fantastic,
so busy.
and beautifully relevant to modern times, and just so well done and incredible, and I loved it, and I could gush for hours. Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan are excellent actors. I love them both. They have such wonderful chemistry. Oh, it's just so good. It's like so fucking good. It was so good. Anyway,
I guess that's what we're discussing the next podcast. So stay tuned.
If you watch it, yeah. Get on it.
I am planning
Get
to
on
watch
it, nerd.
Oh my god.
All right.
Anyway, welcome to this week's episode of Keepin ADHD, everybody. In case you really thought that you were on Disney Channel from Rahlyx's intro, but
I wish we were making Disney money.
Oh my god! Imagine our podcast getting picked up by Disney Channel.
They would never.
I would never accept that because we would not be able to swear anymore at all.
I don't know. Falcon and the Winter Soldier had a lot of swears. They swore.
I also, who the hell knows what they want and don't want us to talk about, it's I don't know. The with every contract that you sign your show away with something in the clauses comes to bite you in the ass at some point.
Yeah,
so,
I mean that's very true. But let me counter that with Disney money.
All right, you were making a good point. I don't have much to say against that.
Look, here's the deal.
But
I'm very steadfast in my values. Anybody who's listened to the podcast knows that I have opinions and I express them. I am very strong in my opinions. But I would absolutely sell out for a big fat Disney paycheck. Let me tell you.
Well, you heard it here first. Everybody who has some fat paychecks, if you want us to say anything or sign us to your label.
Anybody who says, like, let's say Disney said, here's a $5 million contract. You're gonna do podcasts with Disney for 3 years, right? $5 million. Anybody who says
how many episodes? How many weeks are in the
52? So that'd be like 150 episodes.
50. Oh God.
Look,
That's
here's the deal though. Anybody who says that they wouldn't take $5 million is lying. They're lying to you.
I mean,
they're lying, like dead ass, straight up, filthy fucking liars.
I mean, considering the current situation of the American economy and everything in general, yeah, I would say anybody who declines $5 million.
Waste not, want not. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
look, money doesn't buy happiness. But if you bought me a Tesla, I'd be a lot happier.
I mean, listen, if somebody bought me a Tesla too, I would be happy too.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. See, and anybody who says otherwise, oh, fine. Oh, you say otherwise because you don't like Teslas, right? Because Elon Musk is a fuckboy, and we all know that.
Yeah.
Fine. Pick another car. Pick another car that is similarly expensive. Pick anything that is expensive that you want, and you would be happier with it. Don't lie to
me. Actually, speaking of luxury electric cars, I think Mercedes has recently come out with like their version of a luxury electric car.
Mercedes electric car that has autopilot on it that will prioritize the life of the passenger over bystanders. So if somebody is walking across the street, the car will hit them.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I mean, that was like 2 years ago. There was an article that came out that was like, Mercedes cars AI prioritizes the life of the passenger over bystanders, and in like 9 out of 10 tests, the car ran over the fake pedestrian that was crossing the street.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That okay, never mind about the Mercedes electric
Well,
car
I'm
thing.
sure they worked out those kinks. I'm sure they did.
I hope so.
I would hope.
I really hope so before
Yeah.
releasing like an entire car into the commercial
Well, I think
market.
I think like the gist of it is like if somebody ran out into traffic suddenly, right? Then the Mercedes wouldn't slam on the brakes too aggressively. It would hit the brakes, but it would like to avoid accidents happening because of them hitting the brakes aggressively, would prioritize the safety of the passenger. And it's like, you better hope you're not walking in our future metropolis.
It's a classic trolley problem, basically.
Is it? I don't think that's a trolley problem.
There's
That's
so many
not
variations. There's so many variations of the trolley
Well,
problem. There's
I guess it
variations
could be.
of it. There's like an entire I've seen like multiple videos on it. There's an entire like website or like a quiz you can take
Mhm.
where they're like evaluating what are your stances on who the AI of the self-driving car should prioritize when there's like a situation where there's somebody crossing the street and there's people in the car, and it's like different situations, like different people in the car, different people on the sidewalk, when there's no people in the car, when there's people in the car, but then on the side on the crosswalk there's only like animals and like so on and so forth. So it's like a whole series of questions to like, it kind of like determines where your morals lie.
Yeah.
Basically, I've never taken it, but I mean, if that would be something interesting to take on the podcast.
Wait, what if we just do this right? Do you have it? Do you have it handy?
I don't remember what the name is.
AI trolley quiz.
While you look that up, I'm just gonna say that
the moral
like
machine.
I currently, even if I ever buy a car that has like an electric vehicle that has an autopilot, I don't think I will ever use it, just because I enjoy driving myself. And I remember when I had my mom come to visit me, and she was renting a car, and it was like a newer Ford Fusion or something, and it had drive assist on it. Like it didn't have a full autopilot, but it did have like a driver assist to help you stay in the lane while on the highway, or like help you brake before the next car in front of you, or it would help you maintain speed on the highway to stay like consistently behind certain cars. As soon as I sat behind the wheel of that vehicle, I turned that shit off because I hated it. The only thing it was doing was annoying me, because all of my own driver's instincts were going directly against everything that car was doing, and I was like, fuck off, and I just turned it off because I really hated that.
It's interesting because like I have like some autonomy in my car, right? Like it does like the lane assist and the adaptive cruise control and all that kind of thing, right?
You have the newer Toyota, right?
Yeah, I've got a 2020 Toyota hatchback.
2020.
Yeah.
I just almost said 2017. I'm still
my old car was a 2017. Yeah.
I'm still mentally in 2016.
Alas, I wish. Fuck, what was I gonna say? I have some of the autonomy features and that sort of thing, and it's weird because I guess I drive further over towards the edge of the road, to account for the inevitable assholes who are driving a truck that's too big for the road and are basically halfway in the other lane, or like in the oncoming lane, right? Whereas my car likes to put you dead center of the lane, and so I feel like I'm always fighting with it if I have cruise control, and so that drives me crazy. But if you're on a big long stretch of highway or something, man, that's pretty sweet because you really just set it and you hang out. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is nice on long stretches of highway. I guess I wouldn't really necessarily know the value of it, because where I live, there's not a lot of just straight road.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mountains where I live.
Well, yeah, because you're in NorCal, so.
Yeah, I'm in North California. There's a lot of like mountain ranges and stuff, and so there's not a lot of places where you would just be driving straight up like on the straight stretches of highway, unless you go South California, which I did when we went to TwitchCon, and I was like, if you I drove 5.5 or 6 hours to Los Angeles, and one of the highways that you have to go goes like directly through the desert, and it's just literally as like straight as a line highway for literally an hour and a half. You just like an hour and a half, you just busting ass down that highway, like no turns, no nothing, literally nothing on the horizon. You can see anything. You can like, it's just it's a nightmare. Like,
so there's two layers to that, because right, like it's a nightmare because it's a really boring section of road, right?
Yeah,
but it's a positive in that it's a section of road that you don't have to do a lot. You don't really have to think. You can just put it on cruise control and maintain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
See, but that's where my ADHD brain gets bored as hell.
Well, yeah. So
like, unless I have somebody else with me,
or something.
Yeah, unless I have somebody else with me in the car, or like I have a podcast on or music on or anything like that, I would get insanely bored. Yeah, this podcast. Yes, if you're driving on the highway right now, put on our podcast.
But they already have it on. If they're hearing this, fuck!
Oh my! We just accidentally created a paradox.
Honestly.
But yeah, that's where I would see kind of the value of that, because sometimes when you're driving on such stretches of road and you're like, for example, tired, then the assist would be useful, like, because sometimes you start like just veering off the road a little bit. Sometimes it's just but I enjoy the act of driving too much on its own.
I feel that.
For me to be like comfortable with having it on a lot of the time, you know.
See, I felt very similarly, because I mean, before the car I have now, I drove like stick shift. I was like, I love driving so much that I'm gonna control the engine, or with my bare hands. I'm gonna stick my hand through the dashboard and yank around that transmission. You know what I mean?
My God.
And so like I absolutely feel that, but I drove because I got a rental car for some reason, I don't remember what, but I drove with the autonomous features, and I was like, yeah, fuck manual. I'm gonna drive automatic, and I'm gonna drive with robots, because that's great. That's 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So the other benefit was when I drove manual. Well, this is downside of driving manual. Benefit of driving automatic now is that anytime we would go on like a vacation, we'd go to like my uncle's beach house or something like that. God, that's such a white person thing to say. Ugh.
All right.
Fuck. But we would go and nobody would be able to drive but me, and I'd get really tired by the end of the vacation, and it'd be like, God, just fucking anybody else drive, please.
That's the problem with the stick shift.
Yeah, exactly.
The last time I've driven shit stick.
Last time you drove shit stick.
Okay. That's what I really think about the shit.
I really hate that sentence.
I can't even say it properly.
I hate that sentence. Like 11 out of 10.
The last time I drove stick shift was when I first learned to drive, which was in driving school back in Ukraine. And since then, I was like, I don't care. Like, just put me in a car. And since then, I've mostly driven automatic, because in America, automatic is more popular. I just don't like. I don't think I remember how to drive stick shift anymore. Like if I got into a stick shift car, I wouldn't be able to drive it properly. But
you'd probably remember. You would get the feel for it pretty quick. The thing is, here's the thing about stick shift, right? Is everybody's like, oh, it's so hard. It's like, it's really, when you understand the core concept of what you're doing, it's not that hard. Like honestly,
yeah, I know.
I've taught a couple people how to drive stick, and I was like, look, here's the thing. You're going to be thinking about like, oh, how do the mechanics of the car work? Blah, blah, blah. Don't think about that. Think about like, feel the clutch, put your foot on the clutch and feel the actuation point. Feel the point where it goes from you pushing a pedal to you moving a piece of the car. You can feel that. All right. Once you feel that, that's all you need to know. That's it. Because you can hear the rest. When the car revs too loud, you shift to the next gear. You start there and you work your way on.
Yeah, and then every different car has its own thing, or like its own range where it is most comfortable to change. You just determine that over time. Like if you drive the same car for a little while, you just learn to adapt to its quirks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, my car, for example, whenever I stop at a
Hmm.
stoplight or anywhere, just like from like driving at like a medium speed and you stop
Uh-huh.
right before I stop, just because of the way of the style how I drive. Like I stop very softly and like slowly.
Uh-huh.
I don't stop immediately and like
Right. You kind of like
abruptly.
do a leaning stop, right?
Yeah, basically. And my car apparently decides right before the stop it needs to switch into the first gear.
Hmm.
So every time
So it
you
lurches.
stop, it does like a little jolt forward
So
because
here's actually I can tell you exactly why that happens. Because you have like a early
2016 Jetta.
yeah, okay. So here's how Volkswagen does their automatics. They have something called a DSG clutch. All right. Um,
Okay,
and it
no idea what that
basically
is.
basically the way it works is the car was designed as a manual car and then changed into an automatic with this extra clutch. And it's fucking terrible. Look, I
Well,
drove
that's a very
my
eloquent
brother and I
description
drove
of
his
what it
his
is.
Volkswagen, his 2010 CC for the longest time, and it had
Mhm.
this clutch, and it did exactly that. You go in, and anytime you would hit first gear, it would struggle. It would struggle with that first gear, finding the sweet spot, right? And I bet you sometimes when you start, it kind of like, it kind of like kicks a little bit, right? When you start back going, when you start back
when you
going,
start moving.
yeah, when you put your foot down after a
No,
break.
not really.
Not really? Okay, that's good. Then yours is in good condition. Our Volkswagen was in bad condition. So you would put your foot down and it would go, and then it would go. It
Oh
was
my God.
ridiculous. Mind you, we got way more than was left on the bill when we traded it in through some fancy
Trading magic.
there's some fancy trading magic that I'm, if I may toot my own horn, very talented at.
Well, I mean, every single podcast we discuss how you cut slick deals or how you sit on Facebook Marketplace.
Have I
most of
told the
the time.
story of how I got my Toyota? Have I told that story on this podcast yet?
I don't.
I know I've
remember.
told it on stream, but I don't think I've told. Okay, so here's the deal. I drove a 2017 Honda Civic Si that I bought when I graduated from college, like a fool, because I didn't have to pay back my student loans at that moment, right? And I was like, I should buy a new car because at the time I was driving a 2007 Mitsubishi Galant, and it was terrible. It's a terrible car.
Yeah, when I first came to the United States, the first car that I bought was 2001 Lincoln.
Oh, Lincolns are interesting. They're interesting cars. They're kind of like
It broke down in 2 months, so it doesn't really matter.
I
but,
mean, that's
you
what
know.
happens when you buy American made.
Yeah.
But Lincoln is an old man car. But so I drove this 2017 Honda Civic Si. And it was at the start of the pandemic, I was getting endless, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I was getting endless phone calls, letters, emails saying your car, people want it. People really want your specific make, model, year, color.
Civic?
Yeah, my Civic Si, because the Si is like, there's the Type R, which is the completely absurd, like racing Civic, right?
Mhm.
And then the Si is one step down from that, where it's still a reasonable car.
Yeah, I think it's the same as my car actually, because in terms of the like denotation, because my car is like one step below the sports version.
Yeah,
of the
probably
Jetta car.
then. Yeah. So I got like endless. And I'm not exaggerating. I promise. I got endless emails, calls, texts, all this kind of stuff. That was like, we want to buy your car. We'll give you way more than Kelly Blue Book value. And I was looking at it and I was like, I really haven't paid that much off on this car. I've only had it for like 2 years. So rolling it into another car is not going to make a difference, especially if they give me over Kelly Blue Book value. I can probably get myself to where I am right now after 2 years of payments on a brand new 2020 car and bring my monthly payment down, because coming out of college, I had terrible credit. So my monthly payments were really high for the Honda. But anyway, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna toy with this idea, and if I'm gonna get it, I want a Toyota Corolla in the blue flame. Well, originally I wanted a RAV4, but I can't afford a RAV4. They're so expensive.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, I want a Corolla hatchback in blue flame with white leather, and I will accept nothing else. And so I called this one dealership, and they were like, oh, we don't have that, but we could make it happen. I see one. It's at a dealership in Memphis. We can get it for you. And the cost is going to be like $27,900, basically, like $27,900.
Mm.
And I was like, I could buy a RAV4 for that money. So I went and I found the dealership in Memphis that was selling the car. And I reached out to them and I said, how much is this car? And they're like, $26,500. And so I go back to my guy that I texted or that I was talking to initially, and I go, they're going to sell it me for $26,500. Why are you marking it up? And he says, okay, well, we can do $26,500. That's fine. We'll do $26,500 if we can get the sale. And I said, okay, fine. So, we went back and forth, and then I called again to the Memphis dealership, and I said, hey, look, I have another dealership on the line that has a very similar model, and they say they'll go below your price. They say they'll hit, $25,500. And they go, okay, well, we'll match it. We'll do $25,500.
You're finessing those salespeople
exactly.
left and right.
Yeah, exactly. So I go, okay, let me think about it. I'll call you back. And at that point, it's been like a full day of like back and forth and anxiety. And I'm like, maybe I should test drive this car before I just buy it, because I toyed with this as an idea and now I'm in too deep. So I went to a local dealership that was really close to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have the model, like the interior color I wanted. They had it in black cloth, which I'm okay with cloth seats, because in a hot environment, you do not want black leather.
Absolutely.
Oh my
You're gonna
burn your ass.
God.
But anyway, so
I'm so glad my car has cloth seats.
Yeah, dude, the Honda had cloth seats, and even then the seats would get really hot in the summer, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, my interior is black cloth. It's horrible.
But so I went and I test drove basically the same car. And the guy I explained it to him, the whole situation. And he was like, well, what would I have to do to get you in this one? And I said, well, I mean, it doesn't have the interior I want. But you are offering it at $2,400, or 24,000, sorry. Yeah, $2,400. Done. Bless. You're offering it at 24,000. So I mean, that's pretty good, but it doesn't have any of the features I want. And he's like, okay, well, what does the other one have? And like the other one had like, the blacked out emblems and the roof rack and the spoiler. And I was like, those are all the things that I want. I want, if I'm going to spend the money on it, I want exactly what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, look, we'll do all of that. We'll do it at $23,500. And you can drive it away right now.
To people who are listening, I'm like, I have a shocked
Mind
face
you, we started at $27,900, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is for the wrong car, right? $23,500 for the wrong car. And I tell the guy I'm gonna go take a drive. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna call some people, bounce the ideas. And he says that's fine. And so I go and I call the Memphis dealership and I say, I'm not gonna take your deal. Sorry. I was using you as leverage. I don't care anyway. But
I hope you didn't say that directly to them.
No, I didn't. I just said, I appreciate your time. I think I'm going to go in a different direction. Mind you, before I continue, playing the Memphis dealership for the day and then saying I'm not going to do it motivates them even more to sell it to the other dealership that was going to get it originally for me, because they're like, this sale just fell through. We need to move inventory. We're going to sell it to you guys for a cheaper price, right? So take note of that for future as advice. So anyway, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get it here. That way I don't have to deal with driving to Memphis or driving all the 2 hours south of where I'm at now to go and pick up the car. Like, it all sounds like a pain in the ass. So I text the guy at the original dealership and I said, hey, here's the deal. Thank you for all your time and all your working with me and all that kind of stuff. But there's a, one that doesn't have white leather, but it has everything else. And I'm just going to go with that. They're offering me like $23,500. So I'm just going to go with it. And he replies, well, that fucking sucks. I'm like, I'm like, excuse me? And he's like, you didn't even give me an opportunity to counter. And I go, okay, well, by all means, please counter. And he says, we'll get you the one with white leather. We'll deliver it to your door. And the price will be $22,900. And I said, okay, sold. Mind you, they also gave me like way over Kelley Blue Book value for my car too. So it ended up being great. But
that's amazing.
The one thing I conceded on is I went and picked it up because they have like these old, like elderly retired veterans that go and deliver cars for them. And by the time he got back from Memphis, he was like, I'm not driving another 2 hours. Fuck that. So I was like, I'll come pick it up. It's fine.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, so if y'all need car buying advice, let me know because I love this shit.
Apparently, Rahlyx is an expert. He knocked 5,000 off of a car.
Yeah.
I mean,
we also got rid of my brother's shitty Volkswagen at more than was left on the bill, and we rolled it into a really good price on a Mazda.
Yeah, I remember you telling that story. I think it was like on the.
I've told it somewhere, yeah. But we made out like bandits on that deal. I'm proud of my Toyota deal. I'm even more proud of selling a broken car for like $8,000 to a dealership, not to a person. All right, I would never sell a car to a person, but to a dealership that is all about screwing you. Yes, I would happily sell a broken car for a profit to a shitty dealership. All right,
they don't care.
They don't care either.
Car for parts,
literally,
and use it in somewhere else.
No, they had sold it by the next day. The car was gone the next day off the lot. They work their magic, dude. I don't know how.
It wasn't sold. It went to the junkyard.
No, they said they threw in a part, and it worked. So they sold it. It's
all
like,
right.
Wow.
Well,
okay. Apparently they had Volkswagen techs on staff or ex Volkswagen techs or something like that. But it's like,
I just hope whoever
whatever.
who bought that car didn't get like a fully broken car.
Well, see, that's what I'm. Yeah, I hope
that's already
the best
that's
for
already
them.
the dealership's fault.
I was gonna say that's not my
at that
problem.
point.
That's the dealership's problem, and there's a lot of laws that protect consumers in that case. So, bless.
When I was buying my car, the original price for it was like 25.4.
Mm-hmm.
And as we went bargaining back and forth, I think we knocked it down to 21.9 or something like that.
Nice.
So yeah, that was good. But I was also in conjunction with because I don't know if I've ever told this story, but okay, after my first car broke down, which was the Lincoln that I bought for like $1,500. It was used. And it broke down. The repair of the engine was a lot more than the cost of the car of its own. And I then later managed to sell it back to a used dealership for like I know that like evaluators gave my car like value of like $400, and I sold it back to the dealership for like a $1,000.
Nice.
So that was good. They were like, "Oh, we're just gonna clean it up and sell it to someone else." Like,
yeah.
That's your problem. I don't care.
At that cost, like what's eating $600 that you're inevitably going to make back when you either sell it for scrap or sell it as a junker, basically, to lock in a sale. So so sold that car, and then I was without a car for a while, and then we but before that car broke down. This is what went down. I have friends that live in the same area that I do, and they ended up getting into a car accident. They were fine. It wasn't anything too serious, but somebody like on the freeway, somebody on an exit slammed into the back of the car and basically totaled it. Yeah.
So so they were without a car for like as well. So the last trip that my old used car took was me going to the rental place, like Enterprise or something. I think Enterprise. And I drove my friends to the rental place in the Enterprise, and they were getting temporary car before they get the payout from the insurance company and get a new car. Yeah. And we got the car for them, and then we both drive out of the parking lot. We drive to the first intersection nearby, and my car just stops.
Oh no.
So what ended up happening is my friend and his parents were getting the car. So his parents were driving the rental car, and the friend was driving in the passenger seat next to me. So what happened? We were standing at a stoplight, and my friend turns his head and goes, "Is that temperature gauge meter supposed to be that high? Is it like is it supposed to is it on the like the low end of the spectrum, or is it like high end of the spectrum?" And I was like, I looked down at the dashboard, and the engine temperature meter went far beyond the red meter.
Yikes.
And was climbing. And I was like, uh-oh. I immediately turned the engine off. Immediately press open the hood button on the door. Like, immediately run out of the car, put it in park, run out of the car, and open the engine, and the like fucking pole of smoke goes out of the engine.
Yikes. Something was on fire. Jesus.
Yep. So we had to call his parents because they made the turn, and it was like they turned around, and they were going back to the highway.
Yeah.
Because I was following them in my car. And we had to call them and tell them that our car broke down. So we had to put my car in neutral and like push it out of the way, out of the road into like nearby gas station parking lot. And leave it there for like a few hours before we could go get like a tow truck and figure out with the insurance company what is happening.
Right.
So what ended up happening afterward, like the car got towed to the dealership and everything, and they figured out that the coolant in the engine of my car ended up breaking the tube, the resin tube that has the coolant. Ended up rotting. And all of the coolant leaked all over the engine.
Sounds like that Lincoln probably sat for a really long time.
It probably did.
Because that sounds about right for really old pipes.
That kind of screwed up my oil filter. That screwed up the coolant filter. It screwed up a lot of the systems that overheated, and then there was damage. So I was like, "Fuck, what do I do now?"
Yeah.
So what ended up happening? I ended up selling that car, and then with my friends who also needed a new car, we went to the car dealership at Volkswagen because they used to own Volkswagen Passat from 2015. And they were just going to get the same car because they didn't want anything else.
It's a good car.
And I went with them. And that ended up, the timing ended up being perfect because that was exactly the same year and the same time where Volkswagen was getting sued.
So all the cars were cheap.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. My cat, if you were hearing weird noises a second ago and then there was a cut, that's because my cat stepped on a button and my everything stopped recording. So where was I? We went to the Volkswagen dealership, and that was at the exact same time when they were getting sued by the U.S. government. Right. So the prices on their cars were already very much down, and their sales weren't going through. And on top of that, they had a program going on where if you refer a friend to the dealership to buy a car as well, they would take $2,000 off of the car.
Nice.
So basically what ended up happening is I went with my friends to buy they went to buy their own car, and then I ended up getting a car too for their discount for $2,000, and then I bargained off another $3,000.
Hell yeah.
With the dealership, and ended up sealing the deal for $21,900.
Hell yeah.
And that was a really good decision because this car still serves me really well, and it's been like a really great car, and I really enjoy it. One thing that Volkswagen is really good at is like if they do promise you like reliability, they're reliable.
Yeah.
Like they're not always honest with the emissions and like environmental protection stuff, which I don't agree with.
Yeah.
But the reliability of their cars is really, really good.
My only problems with like European cars is that when they break, the repair is always at least $2,000.
Yeah.
It's like like
that's
you could literally have like the baffle which is that piece of plastic that goes underneath your engine. Literally, it's a piece of plastic that could fall off because a screw fell. You like all the screws fell out, right? $2,000. You know, we got parts, we got labor. You got to put it up on the stand. We got to take it off the stand. We got to drive it. You know, and then inevitably, when you get it back, they'll have forgotten to reconnect the electricity to the front of the car, so your headlights won't work, your turn signals won't work, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
I have horror stories about Volkswagen, let me tell you.
Oh my god.
I'm not gonna tell them. I don't want to dredge up the anger that I have about my brother's 2010 CC. God,
I mean, honestly, their older models, their older cars, Volkswagen's older cars aren't as good of a quality as they are right now.
Yeah. Well,
like they
yeah,
ended up
it's
stepping up
now,
their game a little bit.
Yeah. Which I did.
They repaired their reputation.
I dig that.
But also,
I
like,
just realized, I
think
my microphone is on the stand backwards.
What?
like the logo.
You mean it's turned around?
Yeah, the logo's inside here. You would think the logo would be here.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Sorry.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean it's inconsequential, but still.
The only problem with buying a Volkswagen from that period of time when they were getting like sued for emissions and stuff is that they have a ton of recalls.
I'm sure
they have to in accordance to the lawsuit that they did. I don't know the details, but you can look it up for sure. Yeah. They were ruled to have all of the older cars that they produced before the date of the lawsuit recalled. Yeah. And adjusted like all of the
emissions stuff. Yeah.
Emissions to what they actually said they were.
Right.
And a lot that requires a lot of the changed parts, a lot of maintenance, and it just like every 3 or 4 months guarantee that we'll get a recall notice every single time.
Jesus,
and
that's just so frustrating.
Oh god.
The plus side is your car is going into the mechanic a lot, and they might catch
I don't
something
have to
before
pay for
it goes bad. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
because of all of those inconveniences, I have a privilege of them saying like, for all of this inconveniences, we're also gonna do a regular maintenance and an oil change on your car for free. And I'm like, nice. Okay, thank you. At least that.
Yeah.
At least that's great.
You know, that's one thing I adore about having a new Toyota is that for the first 2 years you don't pay for maintenance. Literally about anything. If anything goes wrong in that car, they fix it for free for 2 years, dude. My head unit was pissing me off. Like the infotainment is pissing me off because it was a little bit laggy. I said, replace it. And they did for free. and you know what? I have to take it in for an oil change soon. And you know what? The fan on the passenger's door side of the car squeaks at certain levels of speed. Pisses me off. Take it out, replace it, put a new fan in. I'm gonna tell them to put a new fan in. It drives me crazy. It's like a high-pitched whine and it drives me up a wall, dude. So I'm telling them to replace it.
I have something similar in my car. I had something similar in my car, but then speaking of like repair costs, have I ever told the story of how my dad tried to take my car for a drive and crashed it?
You've told it to me, but I don't think you've told it on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't think I did. So there was this interesting story from my past when in 2017, I want to say, my family came here in summer to visit me and just like to travel around America a little bit. And we went to Los Angeles to go to the Disneyland. Yeah, Disneyland, not World. The World is in Florida. So we went to Disneyland, and by the time we arrived there, everybody was so tired that I ended up being the one who had to take the kids, who are my brothers. I ended up having to take my brothers to the Disneyland on the rental car that we had because it was bigger than my car. So everybody could fit a little bit more comfortably. So we did that, and meanwhile, my mom and my dad remained in the hotel, and they were just like resting and stuff. And apparently, my dad decided to drink a little bit that day, And when we left for Disneyland, he was asleep because we didn't want to wake him up because he was tired and
Right.
like
Yeah.
all of that stuff. And when we came back from Disneyland, like late in the evening, we drive I drive the car into the garage, get out, look at my car, and there's just like the back, like above the back tire, what the back arch is that called, an arch?
Yeah. The wheel well.
The right back arch
Mhm.
of my car is like swiped, and then the bumper has a hole in it and is also like hanging off of the side.
Oh,
And the trunk of my car is also bent, like not bent, like there's like indentation in it in the middle, like as if somebody like ran into something head on.
Oh no.
So I look at that, and then I stand there for a second. I was like, what the fuck happened? I go back home. I go up to the unit, and Dad is asleep. And my mom is sitting there behind the computer, and as soon as she sees me walk in, she like looks at me like, you know how you anticipate somebody to come in and start yelling.
Yeah.
She kind of looked at me like that.
All right, here we go.
And the first thing that came out of her mouth when I walked into that unit was like, "Sorry, I couldn't take away the keys from him too fast enough." So basically, what ended up happening, what she told me, is he woke up. He had like work calls and something, and like was very stressed, and like had a couple drinks. My dad is not an avid drinker or like an alcoholic or anything, but when he drinks a little bit, he becomes like a little more like a, you know how you don't have the best judgment Russian most of the time. Yeah. Normal thing. So he said like, I want to be with my kids in the Disneyland. I want to be there with them. Yeah. Like he is always a very proactive parent, which I commend him for. He wants to spend time with his kids, which is great.
Hell yeah.
And he said like, I want to go with them, and my mom said like, you can't. They took the car, and apparently he saw the keys on the counter, and was like, well, I can take his car.
Like hell they took the car.
Yeah, and my mom ended up chasing him into the garage.
Oh my god.
He got into the car and he drove out of the garage straight into the opposite wall across the garage unit.
This is like the most Russian story you've ever told, I think.
Yeah. Thankfully, he didn't drive out of the garage at all.
Yeah.
As soon as he did that, he realized, nope, and drove back to the garage and left.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it happened. Basically, he tried to drunk drive my car, and he crashed it immediately upon leaving the garage.
At least, you know what? At least nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
There were no bystanders. There was no property damage aside from your car.
And I was mad at him for a little while, but then, I mean,
did he fix
it? He paid for most of the repairs, and I didn't really care because it wasn't like none of the damage was bad enough for like to start any rot or anything that needed immediate attention. So I just let it be for a little bit, and it's still there actually, because what I ended up using the money for was another internal damage that happened later with like something in my in the gear shift actually went wrong, and they had to do like maintenance, and they had to pay for that. But you know,
it's how it be. Some days that's how cars do.
Yeah, it's still there. You actually saw it when we were at TwitchCon, probably.
Yeah.
You saw the back of my car was a little bit.
I didn't give it much thought, but yeah.
I mean, in this country, everybody's car is a little beat up. Like it doesn't really matter.
I've had one car in my whole time of owning cars that has been a little beat up, and that was the Mitsubishi, because a maintenance truck hit it in a parking lot, and it was just a gash in the plastic, and I was like, I'm not buying a new bumper. And I'm too lazy to fill the gash, so I'm gonna put a bumper sticker right above it so people don't notice. So I had a Rocket League bumper sticker that said nice. My other car is jet powered.
Nice.
Yeah. But
That's amazing. Yeah, my damage, the damage on my car was basically the same. There's a little bit of bending in the arch itself, which is metal, but the bumper is plastic, and it was like torn to shreds on the side. So I was like, I don't care as long as it just stays on. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care about that damage. But another thing is that remember that I told that he dented the trunk.
Yes.
The button on the trunk no longer worked, so I had to open it either with a key or with a button on the door in the car. That was the only thing.
Yeah,
that is.
That's not the worst thing.
It's still opened and closed, so I didn't really care. But I think that I told you something like that when we were actually at TwitchCon. We were trying to put bags in my car.
I hit the button and it didn't do anything, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, and I think you said, I think your button is broken. I was like, oh no, wait, and I just opened the trunk from the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that happened. But it's fine, and there was no any long lasting damage, so I'm good. I don't really care how my car looks. I just care about the fact that it runs. That's it. I mean, maybe sometime in the future when I can afford some kind of a fancier electric vehicle, I will care about its appearance a little bit more. But now this car gets me from A to B reliably, and it has everything that I needed to have, and I'm fine with it.
Fair enough. I pulled up that moral machine thing, and
the test.
Yeah, I just remembered that I had it. And so now I'm selecting every option that means that the people in the car die.
I think for a while there was like a version of that quiz that like a certain establishment that was developing self-driving cars was using to teach the AI, the machine learning,
Yeah.
But then I wonder if that's the test that they used for the Mercedes autopilot that decided to kill the pedestrians every single time. People just trolled the fuck out of the people who were trying to do machine learning, and it ended up creating a killing machine.
Oh, bless.
Imagine that.
My thing, the whole thing just says like every single section where it's like you versus other people, me is at does not matter.
He just decided to be a dick.
Yeah. No, I'm not being a dick. I'm like, no, everybody in the car dies. People not in the car, no. That's what I'm. Yeah. So it's me basically.
The people bought that car, so they signed up for this.
Exactly. They know what they got into. Getting into a 10-ton metal death. 10 tons. Jesus Christ. Bless. Shall we in Spiritbot? We spent the whole podcast talking about cars.
Yeah, absolutely. But well, I mean, that's good.
Yeah,
that was a very good topic.
We didn't talk about a single thing that we talked about talking about.
Yeah, we literally talked about none of them. We literally just talked about cars.
Yeah.
When we sat down before recording this episode, we were like, what do we want to talk about? And we came up with like 3 topics or 4 topics that included Apple, shaving my head, something else, and like if we talked about none of it.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah. Do you want to show the people your head?
Oh yeah. By the way, if you're watching the podcast on YouTube, trigger warning though. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, you can probably see throughout this episode that I've shaved my beard, and I now look like. And I look like I'm storing a donut below my chin. But I also shaved my head.
That's a good idea. Oh!
So I look like an egg, basically. Oh, that's
got no hair.
So nice.
It feels like a puppy, really... right? It feels like a puppy.
No, well, first of all, it feels like a puppy. My head feels like if I was like petting an Iggy. But if you can also see, if you're watching on the podcast, but like for people who are just listening, if you can see that there's like a lot of irritation on my scalp. So the reason that I did this is because my scalp has been really unhealthy for a while, and having long hair is very taxing, and it annoyed me. So I decided yesterday that fuck it, I'll just shave it off. And I literally took like a little, like, the beard trimmer that they use, like a very tiny, like, electric clipper that they usually use to, like, trim beards most of the time. And I took that, and I chopped all of the long parts of my hair off with scissors, and then I had to charge that fucking clipper like 7 times before it was because it was running out of charge because of how much hair I had. But yeah, yeah. Now I can't stop touching my head. Like every single time I get a chance, I just do this. I just pet the back of my head like some crystal ball or something.
Some crystal ball. I'm trying to find
Crystal
it in Spirit
ball,
Bot,
tell me
and
my
I've only found like really raunchy ones.
Wait, I haven't even opened it yet.
I'll send it to you. There's one that I just found that is like, oh god, whew, shit, that's a bad one.
Me too. Wait, let me just copy and send this real quick because what the fuck?
Yeah, hold on here. I'll send you the one I was talking about.
I put it in the screen grabs, but oh my god.
I just sent it in DMs.
It's very the InspireBot is on a kick today.
Yeah. It's not particularly good today. Oh, here we go. Right. It is a bed. Like it's
okay.
A bed that's been made. And so you have like kind of the layer where the duvet's been flipped over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like a nice white duvet with white sheets, and there's a MacBook Air sitting in the corner, like a little bit open. Like, why would anybody leave their laptop that much open, and how is gravity not closing it?
Mm-hmm.
And it says, if we all do our part, we can make human civilization implode. I love that. I love that so much. Like that's a good one.
That's our agenda.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. That one you just sent. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that was fucking horrifying.
That is a lot. They really should not have that picture.
Yeah,
Jesus.
well that's locked, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I found one too. It is so misleading in the way that the picture is and then the text.
Mm-hmm.
But so the picture is just a guy standing on a beach in front of the in front of the ocean horizon, with the like sunset in the background, and it's just like a very dreamy picture, and he's like looking out into the distance, one hand in his pocket, and he's like just standing there existentially, and the text on the top says, forget bread.
Forget bread. Forget it. And on that note, forget this podcast. Bye.
Bye. But for real, thank you for listening this episode.
You're lucky. I was literally about to click stop recording.
Oh my god, stop it. Jesus Christ, Bunny, what are you doing? Sorry, my cat. Anyway, this chaos. Anyway, be sure to check out the link to our Discord if you want to hang out with the community.
Yes,
it's linked down in the description.
Link below. Join the Discord.
Yeah. Also, all of our socials, everything else that you want to find, also linked in the description. Subscribe and like this podcast if you haven't already. And,
leave a comment. Oh wait, we gotta think of a comment, guys. Tell us your car stories. What did something happen with you and your car, and did it really chap your ass? Let's hear about it. Put it in the comments below, and we'll talk about it next podcast. The best comment will get featured on the podcast, and maybe we'll do a giveaway for something. I don't know. I've been making a lot of tie-dye shirts lately.
With me prior.
No, but this is what we're doing now. I've been making a lot of tie-dye shirts. So if you guys want a fucking tie-dye shirt, maybe we'll do a giveaway.
All right.
So, good
night. Make sure to leave a comment with what you call your car if you have a name for your car, and an interesting fact about your car, and we'll
tell us a car story.
Or just tell us a car story if you don't have a car.
Give us some content, so we can freeload off of it and we don't have to make an effort on our content. God. It also boosts our engagement, so YouTube goes, oh, these guys are doing something. It's not good, but it's something. Anyway.
And on that note,
bye everybody. Forget bread. Forget this podcast. Comment below your car stuff, and I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next Monday. Bye.